It's time for Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimpson and Kevin Scholla.
Hey, Susan, how are you?
Kevin, I'm doing great, thank you.
So an article that caught your eye recently talking about the Republican Party, which is really becoming a battle inside the party, as we know. Tell us a little bit, summarize what it's about, and then let's talk about where we go from here.
Well, what caught my attention was, once again, the title. It's always, the Tea Party is a threat, but I think that definition just has a lot of meaning. I think it's just more conveniently including things that disgust people or is counter to what they want, so they just kind of use it as the Tea Party, that they are really making it difficult for all of these senators who have been in office for decades to continue to stay in office for decades. And, how dare these upstarts, how dare they have a challenge? But I guess they're forgetting that no one owns the seat, that it is the people's seat, and that it's the right of anyone to run for office and to challenge, and I think that makes us sharper and it makes us better. But there's a real concerted effort by these old guard senators who've been in there for decades to push back on it.
I don't know what they don't understand here on many levels, unless it's all just, smoke and mirrors for their own hide and re-election and the perks that come with it, because you see how moderates like McCain and Romney have lost. You see how Tea Party people like Paul and Cruz and Lee have won. So, number one, from a practical standpoint, I think they're wrong. And number two, what don't they get here? You have to come together if you want to have a strong unit in any facet of life. Here, if they want to keep this Republican Party together, why don't they rally around stars like Cruz and Lee and Paul instead of trying? Is it just they're threatened and they want to be the star, like, we want to reach the goals as long as I get credit for it kind of thing?
I don't think it's necessarily that they want credit. They just want to remain in power. It's a very difficult thing to walk away from. And I thought that it was ironic. In this article in the Washington Post, and it was published on December the 10th, there was a quote from Senator Johnny Isakson from Georgia. He's a Republican. He said the only cure for political ambition is embalming fluid. But he was talking about those Tea Party challengers who were popping up and they would dare to challenge sitting senators. And I thought that it was so ironic that it's only the upstarts who have the political ambition. It's not the guy that's been in office for a long time. And when he says embalming fluid, my point is, yes, it does seem to be the only way that most politicians leave office. It's either through a defeat or it's through death, neither of which is voluntary. And that's where I just say, term limits, that maybe that's what we need to move toward.
The other thing they don't understand here is why they're being targeted. They're being targeted because they're not doing their job. If they did their job, they wouldn't have primary opponents or these perceived threats from the big bad Tea Party. How about following the Constitution? How about sticking to your campaign promises that you were going to fight Obamacare to the end instead of backing down, whereas the Tea Party folks, like the ones we keep mentioning, did not back down? How about trying to work for the people? Then you wouldn't have a primary challenge.
I do think if you look at any poll, when Americans are questioned on this, the number one thing that they're looking for in their elected leaders is that they're going to be honest and that they're going to have integrity, and that means doing what you say you're going to do. And I do think that some of the senators are just having trouble adjusting with the changing times and the changing mood, and that doesn't mean that the principles change. In fact, I think in some ways, with this younger generation that's coming up that is more liberty-minded, that it is more about preserving individual liberty, that it is more about standing on the principles, but also doing what you say you're going to do. And some of these senators that were complaining in this article, it was funny, the quotes about Senator John McCain, and they mentioned in the article how he had weathered a Tea Party challenge in 2010, and then his advice to his fellow senators that are getting challenges, he said, play offense, go after your opponent. And I chuckled at that because he did have a 2010 Tea Party challenge, and he willingly hid behind the skirt of today's enemy combatant number one, Sarah Palin. She saved his behind when she swooped in there. I don't know if you remember, she had that kick-butt leather jacket on, but she urged her Tea Party followers to vote for him. So for him to say, take your opponent straight on. Well, Sarah Palin really did help him there in his nomination contest.
That's a very good point, and there's no doubt about it. Well, we'll see, because something has to give here, Susan. I mean, either eventually these establishment guys have to go away, get voted out, or, you know, have their come to Jesus moment and figure out that it's time to, you know, jump on with Cruz and Lee and Paul, or you're going to have a third party, and then eventually, you know, I think you'll go back to two parties, and the Republican Party will go to the way of the Whigs, so to speak, because that's just the way things go here. So we'll see.
That's great, Kevin. Well, good talking about this, and I'm sure that we'll have many more conversations like this.
Susan Stimpson, someone who does do what she says she's going to do. We appreciate it. Thanks, Susan.
Thanks, Kevin.